Well, it's late October, so it's time for another online nursery roundup, starting with the #1 alternative to Colorado blue spruce in the southeastern United States, and that is the Paul's Select cultivar of Norway spruce. And it looks like the best specimen online right now is at wilsonbrothersgardens.com. And you can see here you can get a 1 gallon for, what is that, 50 something dollars? Pretty decent considering it's your only choice, I guess. I checked on Conifer Kingdom and I don't think they actually have this in stock right now. There may be some others, like maybe Singing Tree Nurseries out in California, but if you're in the eastern US, you'll be happy to know that this nursery that you buy from, Wilson Brothers, is located in Georgia. Now, I will say I'm not 100% confident that means that the spruce tree is located in Georgia. They could be having it drop shipped from somewhere out west. So take that for what it's worth, but at least the company you're dealing with is a little bit closer. And they have really good shipping practices. So maybe they do bring it in-house first because they all seem to arrive packaged in the same way. Really good shipping. I like the way they do it there. And I have one of these in the ground, Paul Select, and it's been growing very well for the past 2 years. So if you want a bluish colored spruce, but you are aware of the many disadvantages of Colorado blue spruce, here it is. Paul Select is available right now online. There's so many good things on the Wilson Brothers website, but let's stick with spruces for now. Here's another good one, Oriental spruce, Picea orientalis. This species does well in the southeastern United States, and I'm not that familiar with the Gaudi cultivar, but the flavor text down below seems to indicate it's just a normal growth habit spruce. This one is about $60 for a 1 gallon. That's going to be probably one of the cheapest options. This is a pretty expensive species. And actually, I've seen the larger 5 gallons at Lowe's before, and they were like $300 and something. So they can get pretty expensive when they get big. So obviously, the cheapest route is to buy them small and let them grow. Relatively fast growers. My specimens have put on anywhere between 6 inches to a foot growth vertical a year. So obviously, they're not super fast, but they are not super slow either. So it's a good option if you want Oriental spruce. Let's look at one more spruce from Wilson Brothers Gardens. This is look at the title of this, Variegated Black Hills Spruce. But then in parentheses, it says Picea mariana cultivar Ario variegata. So what's happened here is that Wilson Brothers has gotten confused about the fact that black spruce and black hill spruce are two different species. Black hill spruce, which you can find almost anywhere, especially at Lowe's, is actually a cultivar of white spruce. This one, Picea mariana, is the real black spruce, and the particular cultivar is Ario variegata, which is a kind of golden-tipped frosted spruce, and I actually have one of these that I purchased from Wilson Brothers. It is the black spruce, although it's probably grafted onto Norway spruce rootstock. So if you want the black spruce rootstock, I don't think this is it. But if you want the black spruce foliage, this is it. And it's a 2 gallon one. Looks a little bit more expensive. What is that, $130? So that's on the pricey side, but it is the only source for it online. So there you go. If you want to have black spruce in normal tree form and not a slow-growing dwarf, this is one way to get it. Okay, if you watch my other videos, you know that I'm a huge fan of Berkeyii red cedar. So let's do this one for our last Wilson Brothers Gardens online offering. It is Juniperus virginiana, native to the eastern United States. That means it's going to be very tolerant of all the conditions in the southeastern U.S. Heat, humidity, cold, drought, pest resistant, I would say, other than maybe bagworms, but that's a problem for any conifer, and relatively fast growing. The one they have here is a 3 gallon for $100. So I would say it's a good price considering how hard it is to find these online. And if you're looking for something to screen with, this would be super reliable in my opinion, especially in those drier full sun sites where other trees might struggle with lack of water. This is going to be pretty much rock solid. I mean, give it a little water, of course, but it's hard to say enough good things about this tree because it is so fantastic. And so luckily it's in stock for now. It's not very often it's in stock, but this time it is. So if you want Berkeyii red cedar, this time of year is probably a good time to plant. Now switching gears to a broadleaf evergreen on offer by directnativeplants.com. This is Fetterbush Lyonia lucida, a southeastern U.S. native broadleaf evergreen that seems to be pretty cold hardy. I have one in the ground here in Nashville, and it survived 4 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's around -15 Celsius. And it's been pretty slow growing so far, I would say, but maybe it's only been in the ground 1 year, so I'm rather impatient in that regard. If I just wait, it'll probably get well established and take off. So we'll see. I'll keep monitoring it, but it's fairly rare in cultivation, and I happen to find it here. I'm not buying this one because I already have one, but if you want Lyonia lucida, here it is at directnativeplants.com. Now I'm switching over to woodlanders.net, and this is a species that I really like. It is Myrica caroliniensis. Here they have it labeled Morella caroliniensis. There's a little disagreement about the genus, but it's in the same genus as the southern wax myrtle Myrica cerifera. And for me here in Tennessee, my Myrica cerifera southern wax myrtle has consistently been damaged by cold weather. But I also have this Morella caroliniensis or Myrica heterophylla, whatever you want to call it, in the ground as well. And it's been more resistant to cold, and it's actually turned out to be a really good grower this summer. So I'm actually going to buy one of these. It says low stock here. It's only, what is it, $28 or so, so pretty cheap. I don't know if it's going to be in stock by the time you look at it, but maybe keep monitoring them or sign up for the notification if they get it back in stock. But I definitely recommend this species if you're in the Zone 7A area. It seems like that's a little too far north for southern wax myrtle, but this one seems to hold up a lot better. Sticking with woodlanders.net here, we have the big leaf version of English laurel, Prunus laurocerasus. This cultivar is named Parkway, but to me it looks a lot like another big leaf version of English laurel called Magnolifolia, which gives you a clue that the foliage ends up looking like a southern magnolia. The leaves are pretty big. I have 2 of these here in Tennessee, and in general, English laurel holds up pretty well in Zone 7A. So I'm fairly confident that they will be successful, and I'm really curious to see how big these tree-like English laurels will become. You know, English laurel is super common as a foundation bush. You see the autolichens and the skipkas with the smaller, narrow leaves, but I really like the bigger, broader leaf versions of English laurel. To me, they're just a lot more interesting. And now switching over to an online nursery that I don't think I've talked about before, and that is keepingitgreennursery.com. They're located in Washington State, and I have purchased things from them in the past and been fairly satisfied with the product, although I will say their shipping practices are not the best. I'll talk about more of that later. But let's look at what they have first. Austrocedrus chilensis. Can you believe that? Chilean incense cedar. Now this one does say Zone 7 hardy. I'm a little worried about that. I would say Zone 7B maybe. South American and any Southern Hemisphere tree in general is just not going to be as cold hardy as the Northern Hemisphere trees. So you've got to set your expectations pretty low in my experience. But here is one. I'm personally not going to try it in Tennessee, but that won't stop other people from trying. You might have more luck in the mountains, maybe further south, like at Chattanooga or something, or maybe the Ozark Mountains of Arkansas maybe might work. You need the right combination of moisture and not too cold in the winter, but not too hot in the summer. Probably some shade. This is going to be a very risky tree to try, but again, that won't stop some people, right? So this is a very rare one. If you want it, it's there now. And let's see what else this website has. Keeping It Green Nursery also has Elysium henryi, so that's going to be Chinese anise tree, which is their analog to our native southeastern anise trees like Florida anise or Ocala anise. And unlike the one we looked at a second ago, this one is definitely cold hardy, down to Zone 6 even, I would say. It says 7 here, but I wouldn't be afraid to try Zone 6. These Elysium trees are just so crazy cold hardy, and I have one planted at a very exposed site in mostly shade, and I planted it in the middle of winter time. It took 0 damage and actually greened up during the winter, if you can believe that. So just a crazy hardy broadleaf evergreen, and I highly recommend it. It's only $20 for a 1 gallon, so that's even a decent price. Okay, the last one from Keeping It Green is another broadleaf evergreen, Helwingia omiensis. I have one of these. I'm gonna plant it. It's kind of healed in a pot right now, but the thing that intrigues me about this species is that it comes from a part of China where the climate and the soil even is almost identical to Tennessee and Kentucky. And so I really want to see what it does in the ground. It's actually done really well in a pot over the summer, so that's very encouraging. And I'm just hopeful that it'll be a very tough broadleaf evergreen. So that's another rare one they have. This website in general, on occasion, has some extremely rare and really unique and interesting trees, but the website's not that easy to navigate through, so you're going to have to roll through the whole thing to figure out what's in stock and what's not. The other thing I mentioned earlier about keeping it green is that the shipping practice is not that great. That's one of those nurseries, which this is common, they'll use too small of a box, not because the trees won't fit, but because it doesn't leave any breathing room for the trees inside the box. So like a wilsonbrothersgardens.com will put a single tree in a box with a lot of air around it and just secure the pot at the bottom so it can't move. And that creates an air gap, and air is the best insulator, but keeping it green will pack in a lot of trees tightly into a small box for some unknown reason, and that results in the trees being right up against the edge of the box so they can be affected by whatever heat or cold is outside the box during transit. So I don't know why other nurseries don't just go to the Forest Farm website and watch their video that's open to the public about how they package trees and secure them in the box. It literally takes like 2 minutes to figure this out, but most nurseries don't do it. So who knows? I would still order from them, especially if the species is right, but something to be aware of. The one time it was damaged in shipment, they did refund it. So I will say that good to them, but I would rather not get a refund. I'd rather get a tree in good condition. So hopefully one day they'll see this video and realize they just need to upgrade their shipping a little bit. And speaking of forestfarm.com, they have one tree that I want to highlight for you on offer, and that is the incense cedar, Caliscedrus decurrens, native to the western United States. But what's important is that I believe the particular trees on offer at Forest Farm come from the northern end of this tree's range. I think it goes all the way from Oregon down to Southern California, but I think the ones from the interior mountains of Oregon are the most cold hardy, because I've tried incense cedar ordered from other online nurseries before, and they've taken some winter damage, but the ones from Forest Farm never have. So here they have the 1 gallon in stock for $50, and that's a pretty good deal in my opinion. And as you know, I'm a huge fan of incense cedar, especially in the southeastern US. I think it's underutilized and might have been crazy resilient. So if you want to try one, Forest Farm is not the only source, but it is the best source. And as I mentioned, they have good shipping practices. About the website in general, I'll say that their stock of evergreens has somewhat depleted over the years, so they don't have as many interesting things now as they used to have, say, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but I still check there every now and then, and if I was going to buy another incense cedar, I would definitely get it from there. Okay, let's wrap up this video with a somewhat quirky website. This is the Johnstein Company. Make sure when you visit these guys, you go to the retail side, because I think they have a wholesale side selling things that are not selling to the public. So retail side, Johnstein Company, they have all kinds of weird little like tube or seedling type trees, but they also have a category of medium, large, and this is extra large. So China fir, Cunninghamia lanceolata in the extra large category. So they don't always have this. That's pretty good. But be aware that even extra large, I think, is less than 1 gallon sized pot. So it's $80, but I still think for a plain old green Cunninghamia lanceolata, this is the best source on the internet right now. And I have ordered from them before. I believe I purchased an incense cedar from them, actually. And the shipping practices were pretty good. So they're based in California, and I think they do a good job shipping, and the quality is good. And they sprout everything from seed, so there's no grafting here. As far as who should try China fir, Cunninghamia lanceolata, probably Zone 7B and south. So in Tennessee, like a Chattanooga or Memphis would be good. Maybe parts of southern Arkansas. And then anything in like Louisiana, Georgia, Mississippi, Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, I would feel pretty good about giving it a try. Oklahoma, I would be too scared to try it. And Kentucky, I don't think I would try it either. Coastal Virginia could probably pull it off, but probably not in the mountains. And even down into northern Florida, I would try this tree. So it's a pretty cool tree if you have never seen one in person. They are just a massive conifer eventually, but they have a very, I would say, like prehistoric, almost Araucaria looking foliage, and they're super spiky and definitely the deer won't touch them if you're worried about deer browsing. So give it a try if you have that warmer climate. I'm just a little bit too far on the cold side here in the Nashville area, but I definitely wanted to highlight this because these trees are not that readily available anywhere, either online or in person, and this is a pretty good offer right here.